Now, one more use case, sort of an exclusive left outer join, again, outer join, sorry, sort of an exclusive left outer join. Again, reason, because I explained it's not really a proper join, but it is a way, for example, to answer very common asks like, show me all accounts without opportunities. Show me all accounts without cases or activities or something like that. And again, it's based on the co-group or the group by of two streams, two data sets on a common field, and using left in this case. So in this case, we are going to load the accounts, load the opportunities, and get all the accounts without opportunities, the list of accounts without opportunities. Now notice that you could solve this at the data layer very similarly. So keep in mind the list of accounts you're getting, or the volume of the data sets. If it's a very large data sets, 40 million and up, 50 million and up, you might want to solve this and just get a separate data set in the data layer itself versus a SAQL query at the runtime. So again, we are going to create one more dashboard, and we are going to call this just hitting S, accounts with no ops, using SAQL. Again, I need both data sets, the account and the ops. So create step. We can bring accounts first. Call this all accounts, all the way on top. And list by account name. The metric is fine, it's 1-1. And hit done. You can drag this. Just take out the legend so you can see everything next to each other. And call this all accounts. Now I need the second data set, search for opportunities in this case. Again, these are from the Sales app. So if you installed Sales app, or probably from the shared app too, this is from the dev org, whichever one you want. Just in this case, I think the naming, yep, it's still opportunity. So the other one is called opportunities. I think if you select the opportunities from the shared app, yeah, so it's up to you. If you select the one from the shared app, just notice it's called opportunities. So whenever you select whichever opportunities you want, group by account name. This is the opportunities from the shared app, and it matches the SAQL in the file and on the slide. The way you verify it is you go and you see its opportunities, and the field name is called account.name. If you select something else, just notice you might need to modify account capital ID.name, etc. And the data set would be called opportunity. So again, pay attention to opportunities versus opportunity in these environments. Now, again, because I loaded the first data set, I can just go to the file. I'll copy the text. And what I'm going to do actually, so again, there's a section called exclusive left outer join, line 77. I'm going to copy these one at a time. So first, the first 4 lines. That's to show you what's happening. And I'm just going to place them here for our exercise. Zoom in. So load account into queue, load opportunities into Q1, left on queue. So keep all the accounts. Doesn't matter if you don't find a match in the Q1. Notice here how I am generating both, and this is versus the exercise about opportunities and cases. So I'm going to get everything. And anyway, it's left. And then the account name from opportunities, rename it as opportunity account name, and just give me account. So run query. Notice 358 from account dataset has a matching one from opportunity dataset. So that means 358 has opportunities. But 426, for example, does not have. That's why it's null. So there's no matching from opportunities. So actually, I want the list of 426, Acme, and so on. Notice this drop down. If you are questioning, this is because the previous exercise, we enabled configure actions on that field. So anywhere you're exploring that field, you will see the drop down menu available for actions. All right. So now that I have this projection, I just want to filter out the accounts that do not have opportunity account name. So one filter, this is a post-projection filter. After the projection, I can bring 83 line and put some space just to show what it is. Filter final by opportunity account name is null. By the way, this is one way how to do is null. And or you could have said by count, okay, I'm counting Q here. If you were counting Q1, by the way, let me show you here 1 second. If you were counting Q1, then you're gonna get zeros for the nulls right here. You could also filter by Q1 is 0. So again, up to you, multiple ways, but let's stick with this. Final filter opportunity account name is null. So now I'm only gonna get 426 Acme and so on. Run the query. Yep, I started with 426. And the last piece is, I really don't need this field. I use it for calculation, but I don't want to see it in the end result. So I can re-project, like for example, real final equal for each final generate only name. For example, because name is in final right here, name, and I don't need to say as name. If you want, you can, but it does understand it. And just the count of Q, for example, or count of final. Let me just verify. Yep, count of final as count. That's the syntax for count. And if I run this, I only get the account name without that middle field that has null values and is serving me nothing. I switch back to chart mode, call it accounts with no ops. Hit done, and I can bring it here, accounts with no ops. And just put it here, accounts with no ops. Take out legend. Now, just to show you why, let's add one more from the opportunities, shared app, group by name, account name, and this is accounts with ops. So you can see the difference between these charts. Take out the legend. Make this a little bit smaller. Okay, as you peer review this, you can see 358 has opportunity, so it's not listed under no ops, but as you scroll down, maybe I should switch these, hold on. Again, you can hit shift, so I'll hit shift and bring this back here. So 358 has 358, does not appear here. 358 has opportunities, 372, 46. Acme does not appear here, so Acme is here. Also 426 does not have an opportunity, so it appears here, and so on. And this is how you solve, again, accounts with no ops. So you want to save this dashboard again for reference and keep it as example. Now for filter editing, there is also one more use case you can solve through SAQL and not through the UI, and that is not matches. Not matches. So let's go back and let me show you what I mean. If we go to, this time I'm just going to explore and show it to you. So let's explore accounts and say I want to group by type, but I want to filter by, I think, industry, and I want to not match, let's say, banking or BA or some combination of letters. I'm just thinking what could be, maybe EN. So in the drop down, there's no does not match. There's contains, which is similar to match, but and there's does not equal. So what you want to do is hit contains and say EN, for example, and you add. Actually, let me show you that it is getting the right fields. So industry is only bringing me energy and engineering. So it matches EN. Let's say I wanted does not match, so you set it up the way you did it right now, then you can go to SAQL and just put exclamation mark right here, not industry equal to N. This is how you say it does not match, and now you get everything except energy and banking. Notice there's no energy, there's no banking right here. Go back to the bar. Again, no energy, no the other one, or engineering. So again, this does not match. For measures, you're a little bit more flexible. So again, I'm going to switch this all the way back. For measures, you can, for filters right here, you can filter on metrics. So let's hit annual revenue. You can have is null or is not null. It will solve that for you in the UI. So you can just select it from here. But behind the scene, it's going to write this is not null or not amount is null. Now, another exercise just to show you the offset function that I mentioned with the limit. This says show me the top 10 rows and then group everything on after that under other. So we are going to load the data set, do our thing, limit Q10, that means get only the first 10 rows, then load it again. And actually we can enhance this by reusing the same stream. So I'll change this a little bit in the exercise. And then get everything after 10, union it after under other, or group it under other, and then union everything else. So let me show you what we mean here. I'm gonna just close this. Again, create a dashboard if you want, blank dashboard, and create a step based on opportunities from shared app. And since this is the same data set, I'm just going to directly go and get the query, top 10 plus others. So I'm going to bring it and walk you through it a little bit. So I will switch to SAQL, Control V. All right. So load opportunities, group by name, for each generate name as name, sum of amount, Q equal order, limit. So let's see what this means, the first section of it, this first section. If you run query, you're going to get the first 10. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it, 10. Now, I want to group everything else under other. So let's see the rest of the query, what it is. I'm going to change again. You don't need to load it twice. So I'm going to say Q1. I'm going to take out this, by the way. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Why? Because Q is already loaded. So actually, I should have said, let's say this is Q first, and this is Q first. Everything else here becomes Q. So again, Q first, I'm keeping it right there as it is. I'm doing my stuff in Q, Q, Q. This is fine. So now Q1 also group Q first. This is the first one, still holding everything. For each Q1, again, I am dealing with Q1, generate name, sum of amount, order by sum of amount, descending. Now offset Q110, this is very important. So let me show you what this means. So again, the first one is going to execute, give me 10. The second one is going to group by, but offset by 10. So it's going to start after the 10th one. Okay? If you notice, this is Clark 523. If I run it, it will start somewhere after 523. Because if I put 9, you should see Clark 523 here. There you go. Clark 523 was number 10. So if I want to skip it, I'm skipping by offset equal 10. It's going to start at Owen. It's going to skip 10 rows, start at Owen. All right, let's add the last section. Now that I have got all of these ones after 10, I'm going to group them, just group them by all. I'm not projecting any name, so it's going to group everything, ready just for aggregation. Usually when you use group by all, that means you're just looking for the metrics, the sum of amount, the total count. You're not generating any dimension here. In this case, I am creating a new one. I'm just, like we did with the exercises for the data transposition, we are going to call this other, and everything else under sum of amount. Let me show you right here at line 13 what happens. all of these are going to aggregate to other and the total amount. Now that I have name and sum of amount, and the first one I have name and sum of amount for the first 10, let's union them, and I get the first 10, notice the number, first 10, plus everything else under other. I switch to the bar, and I have this nice visual. So top 10 plus others. Grab it and save this as top 10 plus others. One more exercise. If you hit the enriched table query, this is also a use case was put out there by one of the SEs, Satish, on the East Coast. So he used this query just to provide a table with the symbols. So the way we did with the icons, for example, the up and down through the exercises, through the early chapters, you can do the same thing. And what you can do is just make it a little bit more enriched, just an enriched display. Now, if you're using opportunities, I'm just going to show you directly, copy this and show you what's the result. You will notice that all what it's doing is some call ask, which we know now what's call ask. If B is 0, then replace it by null, replace it by 0. There's some case statements, case when this is greater than 0, then up or less. There was an exercise in the compute relative where we did this, but this is providing it directly in the table. So let's go right there. I'm going to use the same one here. It's right there, so I'll just create step, opportunities, for example, switch to values table. Since we are using the same data set, I will simply switch to SAQL and copy the table display. Again, because we are using same dataset name, same fields, so this in theory should work out just as is. Notice what happens to the table. All these right here emojis are going to work. Run query, and now I have directly in my table. So this is very powerful. You can present this as a values table. You can remember the format. I said don't do it in the step, or if you do it here, it's going to be in two places, but it's fine. Just for demo right here. You can see this is a much more enriched table. Again, I encourage you to take a look at the SAQL at the query itself. You can take a look at the file. All what we're using is just some case statements and some enhanced visuals to enrich that table itself. Again, one more time, this is what we are going to end up with. For time series was added to the product recently, and this is showing you as using it in SAQL, but take note, in the upcoming Spring 19 release, Safe Harbor, it's going to be in the drop-down for the compare table. So I'm going to provide this for you as a reference. However, it's not needed to do it this way. Also, you can go now and do it in the table itself, but again, as a reference, there is this CSV file. You can load it as a coffee story, and you can run this query where you can get a forecast of the dips or the sales of the coffee. Again, you can go over this. It's in the file, but I encourage you just to use it in the compare table. There's no need to do it in the SAQL. Now, the reason we're mentioning it here a little bit, just to go over the section that concerns the time series function, to explain what is this about, specifically this line. So if you go to the next slide, what's happening is, and apologies, this is a little bit, this should be aligned here. So think about this as the time series function generates a forecast number. Based on the data set, it goes and it takes a look at the historical data. First, it generates to the future a forecast. The number of the future periods is determined by length. So length equals 6. In this case, it says, go ahead and generate for the next 6 months, because it's grouped by year and month. Generate for me the 6-month forecast number. And the seasonality of the data is 4. So the data, that coffee story, is pretty much has a seasonality. There's a trend. In this data set, it's saying every 4 months something happens. Maybe at the end of those 4 months it goes up. So every quarter, for example, towards the end the sales go up or the sales go down. So that is a seasonality. Now, if this happens once a year, for example, maybe heat consumption, let's say just specifically the heat or the gas goes up every winter. So that's once every 12 months. So you put seasonality 12. That's a yearly seasonality. If there's no seasonality, you just put the 0. And then the prediction interval is 95. So again, this is when you want to project for the next 6 months, what's your prediction interval, the upper limit and the lower limit as 95, the range. Now, if you want the detailed step-by-step, again, I encourage you to take a look at Salesforce Blogger. Again, Ricky has done a great job doing the step-by-step, how you prep the data, and also add this is part 1, part 2 has the adding the post-projection. Because remember, this is studying all of the data. So if you have 4 years in the past and you're projecting for 6 months, then your chart will have the 4 years in the past and 6 months. Maybe you don't want to show all the 4 years because it's going to try to match them. So just add a post-projection filter to just so from current year and moving forward. So again, from visual perspective. So again, take a look at this. It's going to help you just figuring out how to implement the time series. But the main point, it was listed in this chapter under SAQL. It is under compare table, where it's much more easier from the drop down to provide the seasonality, the length, and the prediction interval, and that's pretty much it.